Welcome to the breakdown, brought to you by PaintballAccess.com. I'm Matty Marshall alongside Todd Martinez. So breaking news, Todd. It just hit the desk this afternoon, actually. So there's been a little bit of player moves back and forth in this offseason. Hasn't been super crazy, but it is starting to get a little crazy as Impact, after losing Tim Montressor, Greg Sewers, and Ryan Moorhead to Houston Heat, Impact making a big statement to the league, picking up 2 new players. However, I spoke to Dave Baines today, and longtime veteran, and one of those guys that anytime he's on a team, he's always going to be trying to help make that team a better place with better players and try to make sure their practices are best as they possibly can be. And so I talked to Dave, and he even said, he was like, all right, I'm about to tell you something, but we went a little bit off what you would probably think we were going to do. Instead of going to some solid veterans that have been around for a long time, even though you could make the case for one of these guys, he said we're picking up Nick Leival from 187, which is a shocker to me, and then also picking up Ryan Martin, who had played this season for Top Gun, Trenton Top Gun, but has played with many different teams over the years. And both these 2 players, I really like these pickups for Impact, because both of these players, I feel, have been insider players, guys that are really watchers of the game, fans of the game, that have been around for a while, that have been watching these guys and their skills cultivate. And I think Ryan Martin and Nick Leival are 2 stars in the wings. I mean, you could make an argument that Ryan Martin, if he had bounced around a little bit, but Todd, you've had some experience with Ryan. Yeah,
I've actually played on a team with Ryan Martin. I played with Ryan Martin in 2008 on San Diego Dynasty. And we knew from the very beginning, Mike Hinman was actually the first person to see Ryan Martin and bring him onto the Aftermath squad. Ryan Martin is a solid player. We won a tournament together on Dynasty. He has also played on the Ironmen. He played with Entourage for that season that Entourage played in the PSP. And, with the Ironmen, I think that was the best team that he played for before Top Gun. When he was really showcasing his talents.
Mm-hmm.
Skinny Kevin Brettauer, now coach of Damage, really put him out there on that Dorito side and just let him go to work. We saw game after game after game. He was a solid player to be alive, get kills, be smart, communicate. When you see him off the field, he's one of those kids that's kind of shy, doesn't really seem to talk very much, but on the field, he's all about business. This kid knows how to play paintball. He's surprisingly fast. He doesn't seem like he's a super fast player,
but from bunker
to bunker.
His timing is very, very on point, and you could tell that he has played a lot of paintball against high-level competitors. So yeah, you're right. He's not the fastest guy out there, but I think that Ryan Martin is a versatile pickup for a team like Impact, as they have many. I think that one of the hardest things for a team playing Impact next year is going to be, how do you scout that team? I mean, you have some concentrated ones, the ones are the front players, the 2 are the mid players, and the 3 are the back players, and they have some specific ones. They have a huge mix of guys that can play the 2 and the 3, and you get a guy like Ryan Martin out there.
Play all 3.
Yeah, he can play all 3, and he's one of those guys that is deceptively fast because his timing is so good, and I think that's a factor of the fact that he has played so much high-level paintball with all these big teams over the years.
Yeah, I mean, he's got that good burst speed from bunker to bunker. He may not beat your fastest guy in a dead-out sprint, but you say about how his timing is just so good. He's developed that over the years because of the opportunities that he's had to play with these, high-level teams, high-level players. He's played around a lot of talent. You play with Dynasty, you play with a lot of talent around you. You play with the Ironmen, you got Mike Paxson, he played with Brandon Short on that team. Guys that understand the game of paintball, and a coach like Kevin Brettauer that can put his talents to use. And, I think that this is going to be a great pickup for Impact. I don't think anybody really saw it coming, him coming from Top Gun. And, he's a college student as well. He's got to work the schedule in, and, Impact is very flexible in making sure that he's going to get what he needs to be able to be successful on the field, and I think he's really going to help them.
Well, Bart Yakmek's a great owner. Impact's a great program, and Bart has proven to be pretty flexible with his guys. You want to go on a trip, cool, go on a trip. You need to do this, go ahead, you can do that. As long as everyone's staying focused on the overall goal, making those practices and doing what they need to do to try to play at the top of the game, then he seems to appear to be cool with that. I think especially now that he's lost those, because that was a big hit for them. I mean, they lost Moorhead, they lost Montressor, and then they also lost Sewers, and that's a big hit. And I think it shows that Impact is very, at least I think that they're aggressive in the fact they were aggressive enough in going out to get these players to send a message to the rest of the teams out there. It's like, hey, yeah, we could have, because in the past week, we've talked about this. It's like, okay, well, Impact, even with the players they had left, You know, the Yakbek brothers played outstanding this year. Really thought that they elevated their level of play. They still have Justin Rabikoff, one of the best, one of the top players out there, one of the top killers for the past 2 years. Go check out the statistics at paintballaccess.com. And they also have Justin Cornell, and though he was a penalty machine in the finals for them, he still is one of the flat-out cold killers there in the Snake. And they have Joshua Met. You know, Joshua Met is a baller. He is another one of those core Canadian guys who really has elevated his play over the years and become a top-level pro player. And I thought that even with the core guys that they had, everyone's just going to play a little bit more, but they still had a chance. But it really sends a message to the league to pick up Nick Leival and Ryan Martin. And Ryan Martin has absolutely proven himself. If you're not familiar with Ryan Martin, you just started watching the game or watching the webcast, thank you guys for watching. But at the same time, it's like, look, Ryan Martin, he played for the Ironman, has played for a long time, and is now in a situation where has been trying to figure out, okay, you know, real world paintball life, what am I going to do? And that would be the one open question for me with Ryan Martin. I haven't spoken to him about this, but it would be his level of commitment. You know, is he willing to give everything that he's going to be able to give to Impact and all the practices that it needs? Because Impact has a crazy schedule. I mean, and a lot of it's kind of awesome stuff too, like travel to Asia, travel to Europe, that sort of stuff. And he doesn't necessarily need to do that to be a core member of the PSP squad, which is, you know, I mean, that's the proving ground. That's where the best players are playing in the world. That's not a question anymore. So I don't think that he's not going to be able to make those. I don't want to speak for him, but I don't know if he's going to be able to commit and for the worldwide aspect of Impact. Whereas, say, Rainey, and that's another thing that's kind of gone under the radar a little bit. We did speak about it before, but Rainey Stanzik, who came over from Damage, is another pickup from them or for Impact. And he couldn't be more happy about playing Europe. He's never been over there before, and he's incredibly excited about the fact that Impact does afford the availability for them to, you know, travel and play these different tournaments.
PSP is what matters. You know, coming out here, if I can get, I actually went and talked to Ryan Martin. You know, I wanted to get him on Vicious. I told him
that would have been a good pickup.
If you can make these 5 tournaments, you know, I understand Impact is probably one of the most traveled teams out there, if not the most traveled team. But if you can get Ryan Martin for those 5 tournaments, then, you know, it's great having that guy.
He's a proven weapon. Yeah. Ryan Martin is a proven weapon.
You know, Rainey Stanzak, you know, you mentioned his name too. You know, he's another guy that's versatile. It's not going to be the best to send him to the Snake on the break, you know, but I've seen Rainey.
I've seen him do it before, and I've seen it work.
When you pick up guys that are as versatile as Ryan Martin and Rainey Stanzak, it's a lot easier to fit those guys in to the core players that you already have. When you have guys like Joshua Met that can play anywhere, Zach Yakimek that can play anywhere, Big Day Baines holding down the backside, you know, and then you got the Justins, Cornell, and Rabikoff running rampant down the wires, then you can fit those guys in. It's a lot easier to get those guys in your system and get them comfortable and just go out there and let them play and kill people for you. Well,
I'll tell you what, and the name that we really haven't talked about too much so far here in the breakdown is Nick Leival. It's kind of a shocker to me. When I heard that news, Ryan Martin was less of a shock. That seemed to make more sense to me than Nick Leival. And when I say make sense, I don't mean they shouldn't pick up Nick Leival, because when Dave Baines told me that they were picking up Nick Leival, I was like, that's a genius move. And I don't know how you got him away from 187, but because I never thought, at least in the near term, that because he was the on-field captain, the best player on the team. I mean, he was the player that 187 really looked up to lead them through this adversity. And you know, he didn't have the best year last year. He had a really amazing rookie year in 2012. 2013, and they spent some time in the Challengers division, so I didn't get to see him for every single point that he played. But you want to talk about phenoms, you want to talk about guys that, and we had talked about this before, but guys that could be just a complete beast out there. Nick Leival has really impressed me, both with his mentality and how he looks at the mind behind the success of a potential paintball player and a paintball team, but also his on-field ability. I mean, that kid's a stud out there.
Well, the thing is that you can teach people how to run, you can teach people how to snap shoot, you know, you can teach people to get better at a lot of the fundamental skills. What you can't teach is killer instinct, and Nick Leival has that killer instinct. He's one of those guys that, I remember reading something that he wrote where it was like, you know, he talked about playing in this infamous game,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
where he got bunkered,
yep.
You know, and he looked at the guy that bunkered him and was like, you know, this guy was really out here to hurt me, you know, and that was the thing that drove him to make him better. You know, that's the thing that drove him to really want to go out there and just be dominant.
Well, the quote was, and it was an amazing quote, you know, we ask tons of players tons of things about everything, and that's, you know, we're trying to, you know, get as much information out there about paintball and the people to play it as possible. But man, one of the most amazing quotes that I've read in recent memory was when we asked Nick Leival what his favorite point, his favorite moment of his rookie year was. And what he had said was, yeah, he's like, we were playing Infamous, and it was a close game, and I was the last player left alive, and they destroyed me. They like put me to the ground and put it on me. And as I was getting up, you know, feeling the blood in my mouth and feeling, you know, the pain of getting earholed and getting, you know, shot to bits. Why did they do this to me? And he said in his quote, he's like, I realized that I had scared a beast. I had scared a monster, and because they thought that we could potentially beat them. And then that experience made me want to become a monster too. And I was like, I read that and I was like, that is the exact mentality that you need to become a really top level paintball player. And then also just to see what he's physically done. I mean, he played at least, you know, we take the stats for the Champions field. We don't have all the statistics for the Challengers field, but that year where they played every single, you know, game on the main field in 2012, I think Nick Leival sat 3 points, 2 points all year long. I mean, the kid is a stud. He really is. So I think that Nick Leival and his sharp mind and his willingness to go into the breach and his willingness to take any beating that possibly can come his way in order to learn, because, I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. I mean, it is what it is. Paintball is a metaphor for a life and death situation. You got a simulation of a gun, I got a simulation of a gun. It's you against me or my boys against your boys. Let's see who wins. And our brains are conditioned to have a visceral reaction to that. And it's your reaction to that instance that defines you as a paintball player. It's that simple. How are you going to react to the test? And Nick Leival's understanding of that and at his age and his experience level is actually really cool. And I you know, wish him the best on his trip. And it is sad a little bit to see him leave 187, because that's really going to hurt 187 crew.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm interested to see if 187 is going to pick up any players.
Yeah.
You know, like, how's that going to play out? It's funny because, you know, we always talk about the crazy off seasons and the pickups here and there. And, you know, this actually wasn't too crazy of an off season, and everything is kind of happening late. You know, we still definitely have 2 more months until the season starts, but teams are definitely starting to practice, so that haven't already started practicing in early December. You know, we saw X Factor already out there practicing.
Yeah, the world champs already grinding.
They're already out there practicing, and it's like, well, okay, you know, how is your team going to respond? You know, what is your team going to do now that players are leaving, guys are moving around? It happens every off season, but you know, it's always how you respond to it.
Yeah, it is going to be an amazing 2014. I mean, I really feel there's a good 8 teams that have a chance to win at any event. And then, you know, champs and challengers division. I mean, how is our chaos going to do? I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions, which we're going to be bringing to you guys here on the breakdown as we move forward. Remember, March 14th through the 16th is the first event here, PSP event number 1. Sign your teams up early. We had events selling out every event last year pretty much sold out. So you want to get your team in the fight early and test yourselves. I mean, that's the whole point of this. The point to have fun and test yourselves. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. And I think Impact honestly has a legit chance at winning some events next year with this new lineup. I mean, you know, and also how are you going to scout this team now? I mean, you have some pretty dominant ones, some pretty dominant front players, and then you have a slew of guys that can play the 2 and the 3. So depending on the layouts, I mean, and then some of those guys could potentially put ones. Like, where are they going to put Nick Leival? I mean, I think Nick Leival has really opened up a new chapter for his game plan. I mean, for his gameplay. I mean, he is a bigger guy. He's not like bigger as in stout, but he's a pretty tall guy. But you know, I think that he has the, you know, he could be Damian Ryan. I really think Nick Leival has Damian Ryan-esque type talent, so we will see. You know, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't wait to see him out on the field. You know, we definitely watched 187 last year, put him as the back center guy, let him fill out. You know, he did play almost every point for those guys, and you know, he was a huge contributing factor for that team. Not going to be the same role on Impact. He's going to definitely have to find where he fits in with that team. I don't think that's going to be hard because, like I said, when you have so many different weapons, it's easier to kind of get in your groove. You know, when you have such talent around you, it allows you just to play your game. So, I mean, I think that, you know, we're probably going to see him, you know, kind of playing the same spots, you know, starting the back center, kind of work his way towards the Dorito side, up the middle. But, I mean, the guy's an attacker. You know, he's versatile. You know, he's got that big body like Damian Ryan, but Damian Ryan can get as small as Rainey Stanzak, you know, the same way. You know, these guys are able to, you know, contort their bodies all around and play different positions on the field. But, I mean, the guy's a killer. You know, he likes to run people down. So, I mean, I would imagine seeing him, you know, shooting people off the break and then looking to attack. But, you know, who knows, you know, the style of paintball we're going to see from Impact this year. We watched them with all the weapons they had last year. You know, at the beginning of the year, we saw Ryan Moorhead running out to the snake side. We hadn't seen that before out of Ryan Martin or out of Ryan Moorhead. So, you know, who knows how Impact may decide to start playing these guys. They lost some weapons, but they gained some different weapons, and they're all versatile. Yeah. And so, you know, when you have a high level of talent across the board, it gives you a greater chance of winning tournaments.
Yeah, lots of options for them. So how's it going to shake down in 2014? You're going to have to tune in March 14th through the 16th, first PSP event of the year. The webcast brought to you by PaintballAccess.com. We're going to have a lot more information, all the ins and outs behind the scenes of these teams as they get ready for the 2014 season. Thank you guys for tuning in to The Breakdown. I'm Matty Marshall with Todd Martinez. See you guys next time.
How many countries I've visited, how many miles you've traveled,
how many paintballs you've shot at different people,
how much baby powder I've used, how many hotels we've trashed,
how many places I've driven,
how many guns I've gone through, how much I love the game.
It's all the times that you had to tell your family that you couldn't be there for this or that because you were going to play paintball.
How many friends I've gotten out of it.
That's just why I love paintball.
That's why I love paintball.
That's why I love paintball.
But that's why I love paintball.
There are massive opportunities, both with the sport of paintball and for your business. If we are successful in taking our sport to another level, unite with Paintball Access in our quest to elevate paintball and broadcast it to the world. There are advertising packages available for any size business. Join us. Advertise with PBA and help us change the sport for the better forever.